Good day, everybody. My name is Rian Finter. I work for Adaptive Computing. I am the Director of Post-Sale Support. So today I want to go through a demonstration where we show our adaptive AI as a service, obviously focusing on AI and machine learning types of applications, where we will actually make use of a E4S scientific stack available, made available, where there's over 100 E4S applications made available, open source applications, and that's obviously one of the big benefits of making use of such an environment. Right. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Right. So I'm busy sharing my screen here. All right. And I will go into my first screen over here. So what you're seeing over here is my on-demand data center user interface screen. It is a ODC VM that's actually stood up within our data center in Florida. And keep in mind, what you see over here is also available from a command line interface as well. We understand some users prefer a command line interface, so absolutely no problem. What you do over here is also available on a command line interface. And to set the stage a little, I am sitting in South Africa, and I am managing this environment from here. So I'm VPN'd into an environment, and I'm managing all of these different clusters all over the world, all the way from South Africa. So let me log in as an administrator. Now, let me go immediately to my cluster manager over here. Right, so what we're seeing over here is multiple clusters with multiple cloud providers. So we'll focus on this four chop over here. And you'll notice that it's Amazon, Google, OCI, and Azure. And you'll notice the E4S on the one side. So that means we have these clusters that make E4S applications available in the cloud. So they have to make use of on-demand data center to be able to make that available in the cloud. All right, so let me make use of one of my clusters over here, and I'll just drill down into one of them. So you'll notice currently this cluster has got two nodes, and you'll notice that they're in the down state. So that's one of the key features from an on-demand center point of view, which is bursting. So what that means is we deploy the cluster, head node stays up 24/7, compute nodes are taken down, and only start it up when workload comes in, and then we'll start up the nodes depending on what's required. You may need one node, 4 cores, or both nodes. And you'll notice that these are fairly simple types of resources, instances, standard VMs, nothing specific or nothing funny about them, not GPUs for that matter. And actually, most of this E4S applications can actually make use of standard VMs. You don't need GPUs. You can use GPUs, absolutely no problems at all. All right, so we'll leave this environment and then we'll jump into my MOA viewpoint site. Now, some of you may be familiar with MOA, being around many years, very well used in the market, legacy products, and we've got our user interface called Viewpoint that actually makes the command line interface site also available from a user interface. Traditionally be used as a CLI, but we've got multiple customers that actually use the Viewpoint side, especially with some end users that prefer using a user interface rather than a CLI. We even have customers that come to us to tell us, listen, we were using something like, for example, Slim, right? But it doesn't have a user interface. Can we interface with that? Absolutely, yes. So we set it up where they make use of the Viewpoint side, MOA Viewpoint side, set up their workloads, and as they run it, we pass it on to the Slim clusters, or obviously working directly with Moab as a very well-known HPC scheduler. All right, so let me log in also as an administrator. And we will notice that as soon as my screen comes up here, so you'll see this is my landing page. Now, again, Moab being a HPC suite, as you know, it's got multiple features, functions that are available, but we'll focus on this side where we make use of something called templates within Viewpoint. That's actually setting up application templates so that because this is a stood up environment, a production environment of ours, that we onboard people so that they can make use of pre-configured templates where they can actually run their workloads, meaning E4S applications that gets loaded on the E4S cluster, and they can actually start using those applications. Right. So let me just show you around on the templates, and then we'll go through the process. So we'll notice that there's multiple application templates available here by default. We make default ones available, but I've included 8 of them for 2 sets of 4 for each one of the E4S different clusters and different cloud providers. So you'll notice this 4 over here are E4S on AWS, Azure, Google, and OCI. These ones simply means deploy E4S on the AWS cluster, no application request involved. And on the next page, you'll notice the second set says E4S, submit E4S on AWS with an application. You've got the choice. Now, again, this is the templates, very extensive functionality. I can set it up that I prompt users to add information, type information, or they just given information and they have to use it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these 4 over here, and then we'll just look at 1 or 2 of them as they deploy on the different clusters. So simple as we'll click on workload, say create a job, and then I can actually go ahead and select my different templates. So we have set up the different user, and we have set up different user accounts. So as we onboard people, I've just done one today, where we onboard people so that they only see these specific templates so that they can make use of them, because this is more focused on E4S in the cloud. All right, so E4S, I'm going to use this first one, submit E4S on AWS with an application. So if I select that, I give information about the cluster. I cannot change it because that's what it's the cluster is deployed. Nodes with core counts, 2 nodes, 4 cores each, and then we can select my application. So I'll just choose, let's say, Quantum Espresso, for example. And by the way, this list is over 100 applications, E4S applications available to the users. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say create and run this first one, and then I'll go through and submit the other 3, and we can have a look at 1 or 2 of them as they get deployed in the cloud. And again, this is obviously where you can use the whole hybrid environment where you run on-premise and burst into the cloud, or just use the cloud. And so now we're just using the cloud from on-prem. All right, so let me go ahead and create all of these others. So they have multiple ones running, and we can look at some of them. All right, again, I'm going to select my cluster, go to my next page. The next one on the list there is E4S Azure. And again, cluster information, 2 nodes, 8 cores, and they can choose the application. So I'll just choose one of these other applications. Let's say Chai. And we go ahead and create. And that will do the same process. So and we will notice in the workload over here, there's a process with our architecture between Moab, scheduler, and on-demand data center. You'll notice two jobs for each kind of process. It kicks off a system job, which is a power up job. Moab instructing on-demand data center, I need this resources based on the request from my job. So this one requires 2 cores, 8 nodes each. And you'll know it remains eligible until those nodes are actually deployed in the cloud. And then the job gets passed over to on-demand data center. So let me go ahead and do the other 2 as well. So then we can have a look at all of these, or at least some of them as they are deployed. Right. So the next one on the list there is Google with an application. And same thing, 2 nodes, 8 cores. And let's select Cocos. for example, create. Now, I am not necessarily an application person, but I mean, there's many applications here available, and application people would know which ones they require. Right, so that's the third one that we've submitted now, and then I'll go ahead and submit the third one, which is, I believe, is the OTI one that we still need to do. And this just shows that E4S is now available on all 4 major cloud providers, and they have to make use of on-demand data center to be able to do that. E4S with an application, and same thing, 2 nodes, 8 cores, and I don't know, let's use something at the bottom, size, for example. And we so 4 different applications on 4 different cloud providers. And as you heard, I'm managing all this from South Africa in our data center in Florida, and with the whole solution, you've got that capability. Right. So now we will see that all 4 of my processes have started: OCI, Google, Azure, Amazon. Let me jump into my different clusters over here. So let's just, I was on Amazon earlier, so let me just go in, for example, Google. And in the meantime, some of these nodes might be deploying. You would have noticed just before I went to Google, my Amazon one is already in the process of being made available. So now remember, these nodes were down. Right now we're deploying them because the instruction has been sent and it's starting up in my different nodes based on what's required. And if I go through all of these, you'll notice that each one is actually busy deploying. So now we're looking at OCI, now we're looking at Azure. All right, so let's just choose one of them. I'll use Google in this case. Now, while it's deploying, it takes about 5 minutes. That's standard between these cloud providers for my nodes to deploy and become available so that that workload can actually be sent to it. Now, let's have a look at my configuration. Now, over here within the cluster environment, we've got something called a VNC viewer. So what we do over here is we give you the capability to log in directly onto the head node, and then from there you can actually log in into, for example, the computer, right? And start working on these environments. So it's as simple as connection. I'm connecting as this user over here, and that is ODDC admin and my password. Right. Now it's going to start up, and in this case, we are using Ubuntu as the operating system. So let me make this a little bit bigger. And now I'm actually on a Ubuntu desktop, and this is actually on the head node, right? So I can do, for example, over here, open terminal, and this would be the same for all of the different cloud providers. So let's make that bigger as well. Now I can run multiple different kinds of commands. Spec is actually a package manager that we make use of. So spec find will show me how many E4S packages are actually loaded. In this case, you'll notice that there's 741 installed packages. Now, these are the prereqs that are made available for all the different applications. I can do a -X that will show me just the applications based on these prereqs that is available, 103. In this case, I can run, for example, spec find OpenFOAM. You know, I want to see, is OpenFOAM around in this list? Which version of it is available? I can run spec find, and it tells me OpenFOAM. You can see at the bottom left, OpenFOAM 2312. All right, so those are some of the spec commands. Now you can see that the E4S image is made available. So we've got some examples here. That I want to just use one input file. Now one of the applications is called Towel. And that's why I'm going into that directory under the examples. So here's an input file called demo.ppk. So I'll use something called paragraph, and I'll run this demo.ppk to show the graphical side of it as well. And again, remember I mentioned earlier, these are standard VMs, it's not even GPUs, and you'll notice how good they actually respond, even being just a standard VM. So an application person can run these different graphical tools, if you want to call it that. So this is actually a program that ran on different nodes, and these are different steps. I just chose one of the nodes, and I want to see a 3D visualization of that specific node. What was the processing there? What happened? So let's make this bigger. And so now you'll see that it brings up a graphical view, and this is just one of the examples. There's many others that can be used, as you saw how many different applications there are. Now, I mean, I can move this around. You can see the response is very good, even just being a standard VM. Let me get it where it was. There we go. So I can move this around, and let's get it to a view where we can see it from a little bit from the top. All right, and then there's also a bar plot, for example, view. There's some people with scatter plot in this case. Again, I can move this around. The little red dot here at the bottom just shows processing that happened over there. Of course, this little red dot and all these others are standard running processes, but there was a lot of something funny happened in that area. And then there's a topology plot as well, which you know, an application person running this would know what this is about. And again, I can move it around based on what is maybe required, and you need to have a look at it. All right, so that's just showing that part, and let me close all these different screens over here. And of the application. And again, so as part of that process where we start up the different nodes, remember you can now SSH into the compute nodes as well as they started up, run the same thing, and you can actually run directly. A lot of people actually prefer using the CLI where they can submit using QSAP, which Talk is actually our scheduling side on the cluster itself that manages the environment. So you can run, between the different nodes, parallel processing, and so forth. All right, so let me go back over here to the cluster in Google, for example. And now you'll notice that we're already busy destroying. So you'll notice that I've got a job that actually ran. And my idle purge I mentioned earlier, so my compute nodes were down. And then I've got this idle purge. Mine is set to 3 minutes. So after 3 minutes, if there's no more processing that happened, we bring them down, right? So, and this is just for my purposes, I've made it very short. But this just shows that as my nodes are deployed, it gets used and it goes into a available state, we actually start taking them down again. But you still got access to, for example, the actual compute nodes. And, let's say, have a look at OCI, for example. These nodes are still available, right? So let's go ahead and log into this VNC viewer, and then we can actually just drill down into just want to show you that, from here, you can actually then just drill down into one of the compute nodes. Now, with all the other providers, except for OCI, they make use of Ubuntu. But OCI, they prefer us using Oracle Linux. And you'll actually notice that as I log in here, you'll see it's a different type of screen, or it says Oracle Linux, right? And let me just open a terminal over here. Same thing. I can run the spec commands as well, but I want to show you. I look at my etc host file. Here it shows so now I'm on the head node. I can SSH into the compute nodes. Let's say 172.16.2.248. All right. Now, while my compute nodes are available and it's not taken down, I will be able to SSH into my compute node. Now I'm actually on my compute nodes and I can run my E4S spec command as well. I can just do this find, for example, while my node is available. And there we go. So that OCI has got 978. I can run my -X as well. That just shows my applications 143. If there are GPU enabled applications of that 143, it will show up here if I do a +CUDA. And now I can see I've got 37 installed packages. Right. So that kind of shows that part. And obviously, as soon as my idle purge period expires, then these nodes are actually taken down. So this is what the environment that we stood up for our E4S prospects, customers out there. As I said, today again, I did another one. And now people are starting to onboard, and we make this environment available for them. Even these clusters I'm using is obviously my clusters, as I want to show to you. But we, if they use a process where they want to use their own environment, meaning their own credentials and tenancy, I share the images with them. I help them today to set that up in Amazon and use their credentials, set it up within the on-demand data center site, and deploy the cluster for them, create a login, and they've got access to it. All right, so I want to end at that and say thank you very much. Obviously, if there are any questions, the team are always available, myself. And if you want to have a much more detailed view of the different application itself, one of our partner members, his name is Samir. He's actually Professor Samir, knows the applications much more in depth, so he can go into that as well. I thank you very much, and hope you have a great day further. Thank you. Goodbye.